Hi and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please do not forget to be rating, reviewing and subscribing, folks. So here we are, episode 28. This is the scheduled discussion news, what's going on episode, because I know that we were initially going to bring you game recaps, and we will still be bringing you that when the season starts, folks, so don't go anywhere. But it is the off season and there's still so much to talk about, so let me welcome in my lovely co-host Chudders. Chudders, how are things with you?
Everything's good, thank you, Claire. Brilliant. We got some more Patriots news. Wonderful, something to talk about. Are you excited?
Epically excited, so excited I can't keep still.
Did you enjoy the release video?
Yeah, it was really good. It was good. I liked the little things in the back, the little extra bits like the PU on the TV in the background and things like that. I liked getting to watch it again and see the little things, and that Fred was in it from Patriots Unfiltered in the background and stuff like that. So Paul wasn't.
I thought he was.
No.
I thought he was sat behind Fred in the bar.
Oh.
Further away, you can only just see him.
Oh, okay. Well, as seeing as Paul is like your number one Patriots guy, you would know better than I do. I know that Deuce was in it. We all saw that. And obviously Evan with his movie star credentials now. So yeah, it was a decent video. I unfortunately haven't caught many other teams. I don't know if you guys out there have. I've seen, I think the Chargers one and the Titans one. And I want to find the Cowboys one because they mentioned that on Patriots Unfiltered. So I do want to sort of establish that. But I mean, theoretically, it's just a list of dates, isn't it? So it's all just in the fun for the media and everything. So talking of list of dates, and I won't list the dates, folks. Do not worry. You do not get half an hour of me reeling off days, dates and times because, you know, in case you need that for your Friday morning to send you to sleep. What games have intrigued you, or, you know, what are your thoughts then? Where are you on this schedule?
I think, ignoring the actual schedule list, probably the biggest, happiest news that you and I had was that the Patriots coming to Wembley, coming to London. I think we're both definitely going to try and get along to that game. That's very exciting. Pleased to hear. I'm surprised there was murmurs that a London game could be on the cards, and I thought that'd be great, but it'll be in a year or two. Having just been in Munich last year, I thought they probably won't travel 2 years in a row. Lo and behold, here they are. So I'm excited by that one. That's probably the one that stood out personally for me the most. I'm sure a lot of American Patriots are not quite so happy about that. They prefer the Patriots weren't kicking off at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. But for us here, UK Pats, very excited by that. Not seen them since 2012 against the Rams, so it's good to have them back again.
Yeah, definitely. There was something I was going to say now. I've forgotten what it was. The fact that there are a lot of 1 o'clock games as well is a good thing.
For UK Pats fans,
yeah, for UK Pats fans, it's all about the UK Pats fans. Yeah, no, saying about it being this year. Yeah, I genuinely thought next year was the year. I think it was. I even got called out on the tweet because I'd sort of not predicted, because that's way too strong a word, but made the mild assumption that it would be next year. I thought I'd heard a rumor that the Patriots were going to be here soon, but I genuinely thought that it was going to be 2025 from what I heard. So I was wrong. So that's great. So yeah, October 20th. At London at Wembley Stadium, as you said, 9:30 for East Coast friends out there. So yeah, definitely interesting to see.
And to be quite boring, probably the other element that stands out about the schedule, having obviously we already knew the opponents are going to be, it's just what order. But the other thing that really stands out about the schedule is the bye week. And it being so late, that is not new QB friendly, shall we say, of a week 5-6 bye week that would have allowed you a good time to bed in a QB and then after the bye week start him. So obviously, I think that means probably may need to get thrown into the fire a bit earlier in the season when it's a bit tougher spot maybe to join.
Glad you mentioned that, because I know you wanted to talk about Drake May and when to throw him in, sort of thing. And I think a lot of it was touched upon on, I don't know, I assume you'd have heard for what Patriots Unfiltered yesterday. I'm not sure if everybody else did, obviously, but the whole fact that we're looking at the Drake May start situation, the concern with the Drake May start situation being too soon and such, is we're so affected by the whole Mac Jones experience. We're so concerned that if they start him too soon, they will break him the way that they broke Mac Jones. And I think that's really colouring our views of this and when Drake should start and stuff like that. It might not be the same for yourself, okay, granted, but I just think in general, as a general aspect, and I don't know, that for me personally, just throwing an opinion in for the bye, I think we're pretty certain that Jacoby Brissett's going to start. You know, it looks like that's why he came in, and I have got a quote actually from him about that I wanted to talk about as well. But yeah, he kind of knows that he's coming in for that. He's been quoted as saying that, you know, he's looking to compete for the job. So the beginning of the season feels like a Jacoby Brissett situation anyway. So I don't know if the bye comes into effect very much when it comes to that, because it'll just be a transition from Brissett to May when they feel comfortable start him. So I don't know if I find the bye being late as much as a situation, if you like. But that's because we never really agree on anything. But yeah.
But I'm disagreeing with you, and you're throwing shade. No, and to be honest, I agree with you. I think that there is no right answer to when to throw him in that we can say now.
No.
The answer is when he's ready. Mm-hmm. And on the back of Brady, when I've forgotten his name now, Cam Newton came in, it was right, we're hitting the ground running, we reckon we can still be a winning team, we can still be in the playoffs. Then you signed Matt Jones, and the thinking was, okay, we didn't have an amazing year with Cam Newton, but we still got the core of a championship team around, still got the same coach, we can still be a winning franchise. Mm-hmm. The past few years have shown that's not really where we are now. We're now on a full hard reset. Mm-hmm. Coaching throughout the whole coaching, new head coach, new coordinators, we're on a full new reset now. So time is there. There's no need to immediately throw in Drake May. He has to hit the ground running. If he's ready in pre-season to start week 1, then by all means start week 1. If he isn't ready till midway through the season and it's a good spot, you're not throwing him out to the wolves, then go for it. If you know what, there's still a few things that he's tinkering with by the end of the season, and it could be more detrimental to throw him out, and he has to sit a season. That's not my preference that he sits a whole season.
No,
but if that's what's best in his long-term development, then I'm fully open to doing that, because this is a long-term winning strategy, not a short-term.
Yeah, if it ultimately creates a future of epic results, then yeah, you can sort of say we'll sacrifice his first year. I'm with you. He's a first round draft pick. He's number 3. You hope that he's going to be a starter in the season that he's selected, but not of any detriment. And again, that goes back to the kind of whole the Mac Jones experience. The one thing that I wanted to say, sorry, when it looked like I was going to interrupt you and I didn't, was how when you look at, I mean, you could probably say it's the same every single year, but there's a lot of other teams now that are in exactly the same position that the Patriots are, if not a very, very similar one. There's a lot of new coaching personnel that's been, even if they're not new to, into the NFL, the sort of the way Mayo is, head coach, it's his first year. They've moved teams or something like that, and there's plenty of new quarterbacks as well. So it's definitely a league that is different for a lot of teams. So I think that's why when when people are talking about majorly early predictions on the schedule as well of who they think they'll be, there's a load of these teams that we don't actually know what they look like now, because they are so different, which is exactly the same as really for the Patriots. They're going to look so different with the whole AVP and Mayo and obviously the brand new quarterback and stuff like that.
I agree. And touching on your note of the other teams around you, in pre-season, you're playing the only other 2 teams who had a worse record than you this past season in those pre-season games. Oh, yeah. So that's to bear in mind. I didn't notice that one. That you could come out of those with 2 of those as victories. That nobody buy into that means we're hitting the ground running. Yeah, and here we go. We're on the charge.
Totally 17-0 or whatever.
Exactly. Commanders are in near identical position to you because they've just drafted, Jaden Daniels, and they're rebuilding, and the new head coach and everything. They've been almost exactly the same. Panthers, you're kind of a year behind where they were, but they didn't have the year they wanted last year. They'll be looking to turn that around this year. You can't. It's obviously got to have preseason games, and may hear that there's some joint practices going on. We'll see. Probably the Panthers, but don't anybody read into too much if you come away with some victories there, because that isn't the best opposition you could be comparing yourselves against, I would say.
Don't tell people how to fan. Don't tell me how to fan. If I want to be super excited by those 2 wins, I shall be.
What I guess another sort of element that stood out, or maybe 2 other elements worth discussing. One, first game away at the Bengals. What's your thoughts on that? And second, playing the Bills 2 out of the last 3 weeks. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think the only thing about the Bengals is I was surprised it was a road game to start with. I'm not sure why. You asked me my genuine opinion. They're starting off tough, really. Bengals is a good team, obviously. So yeah, I don't know what to say. You look at it and think, well, they're probably going to lose against them, but there's so many teams in the league that you'd probably say that they'd lose against anyway, because they're still building it, they're still putting it all together. You're literally going to be throwing out a team that maybe not fully constructed, sort of thing, or not, at least not knowing how the pieces slot together fully by week 1. You'd hope that they would, but this is a serious sport. The Bills thing I find really annoying. It's just that's stupid. Who decided that? They need a slap.
It could be a way to spoil their season, so let's see it that way.
Okay, I mean, it could spoil, we do that, that's great.
It could spoil someone's. It could spoil both our seasons, yes, actually. If
this is it,
if we're 3 and 12 or something at that point, that you start hitting them, and then you win some games, then you might find a few disappointed Patriots fans as you drop down the draft order by then.
And it's very annoying because it's an away game, so all the around the Christmassy games are away. So that's annoying, because if I was hoping to go, now I can't because they're away games. I don't know if I was, but if it's what when I went in 2019, it was just after Christmas time, so it was that kind of time. So if I was looking at that
holidaying
kind of
period, is it?
Not necessarily, but it was just the time that I did. So I looked at it and thought, oh, they're both away now. I don't want to go to Buffalo.
Are you not? Well, surely you look at it and go, brilliant, I'm going to go to Wembley. Or do you hoping to get 2 games in this year?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not banking on Wembley. I mean, have you seen the craziness to get tickets? It's insane. The Germany game was something like there was 3 million people on the phone for the tickets or something crazy like that. So, it's a European game as well. So, you're going to have people. I mean, I even know some American people that want to come over and see it. So there's a couple more tickets that have gone. So whilst I want to go to the Wembley game, there's part of me that thinks, I don't know, I'm not very optimistic that I'm going to get tickets, I suppose, to be honest with you. Feels like it might be easier to get Gillette tickets.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the appetite and how it's affected by the fact it's a new era. It's no longer the Brady Belichick era.
That's fair.
Every man and his dog. Even last year in Munich, there was this could be your last chance to see Belichick kind of thing going on at that point, and very much a cry, and it was. And so now, is there still that clamour to see this new era where, in all reality, I mean, the Jags is quite a good spot to be there. That could be quite a competitive game, to be fair.
Yeah.
But there's still the spot of, well, we're not expecting much this season. We don't even know if our new QB is going to be playing. Do we want to go and watch essentially the backup QB in Brissett starting?
Don't you want to just go and boo Mac Jones, though? Isn't that the main reason you're going?
Yeah, could be, couldn't it? Yeah. No, I'm definitely
going to interview him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, what's it like holding a pencil every week? Yeah. It's true. Yeah, no, it's a tough start of the Bengals. It's quite a nice second game there, home against the Seahawks. I think that gives you a chance to be 1-1 and to possibly get some positivity around. because you've then got a tough stretch. I think Jets, 49ers, Dolphins, Texans are all going to be very tough games. It's hard to see much coming away from that. You've then got Jags, Jets, Titans that could be. You might be able to get a couple of wins out of that, possibly. Jags, Titans. Bears is an interesting one because they're obviously on a rebuild as well. I think they're in a stronger position with their rebuild from the offseason they've had. It'd be interesting to see how they're going. Rams, Dolphins, Colts, which is possibly winnable depending on who's playing for them, how they're going this season. Cardinals, again, similar. And then a tough end, Bills, Chargers, Bills. I think Chargers will be quite good this year.
Sorry, folks, I wasn't going to list, but it turns out that he is.
Well, it turns out I am. There we go. So there's been a lot said, and I'm sure a lot of you've heard, and you too, Claire, of the travelling the Patriots are going to have to do. I think it's the fourth most in the NFL with their Wembley trip, with 2 trips out to the West Coast. The fact they are quite good on rest days, to be fair, compared to their opposition. Not very many primetime games. There was 5. What I'm going to say is like the 1%ers. There was 5 elements that I managed to pick out where you could say that's maybe just a 1% that helps the Patriots, which is that the Jets are, when we play the Jets on the Thursday night, the game before they're away at Tennessee, so they've got to travel a bit, whereas we're at home. Week before against the Seahawks, they've got to travel a bit before their Thursday game. It's minute, but I'm trying to find. I'm searching, scraping that barrel for positivity.
Why so early? Why are you trying to find these things so soon? It's May.
Because we have fresh information now. This is when we can do this. I'm not going to do this in August. Again, when you play the Dolphins, they'll have just played Monday Night Football the week before, so they've got one less day of rest than you have. When you play the Jets, they're then playing on Thursday Night Football away at Houston a few days later. Possibly they could have half an eye on that. You could distract them. The same when you play the Dolphins later in the season. They are away at Green Bay on Thursday Night Football, the game later. That could be maybe a bigger game for them in the standings. Interesting to see. And when you play the Rams, they will have played Monday Night Football as well, so one less day of rest before they have to travel cross country to you on the East Coast. So they're very small, but I was trying to scrape the barrel to find any minuscules of 1%ers that could help you as a Patriots fan look at this schedule with a bit more positivity. You don't seem impressed.
Seems like a lot of work for very early.
And another thing.
I mean, like, come on, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. If that's what makes you feel better, that's what you've got to do, of course. I haven't had the energy to do that yet, no. That's all. There's so much else going on. It's intense.
Another thing to touch back on, which you did say about release videos for other teams. I did see the Chargers one. Yeah. The Cowboys one was good. I think that's worth a look.
Oh, okay.
Again, they found a interesting way of doing their video. That was humorous. Okay. I did see the Packers as well. Theirs was quite funny. Again, I'm a Barstool Sports fan. Big Cat made a cameo into that, which was quite funny, ripping into them.
There you go.
Which are the other ones? A Tennessee one, you did mention that. Sort of touching
the same as last year, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't their second. It wasn't their actual release video last year, but it was their popular second one that went viral, and then they had a good little spin on that this year, which is about as well as you can do. Because if they'd done it exactly the same, then it wouldn't have really hit home. But they gave it a slight twist that just made it worth a gander as well.
So, David Andrews contract. He's got a base of 12 million for 2 seasons, maximum 13 million, 8 million guaranteed, and he's contracted through to 2025. Did this A, surprise you? B, make you happy? C, none of the above?
Made me happy because it means he's definitely around for this year. When there was a little speculation, is he not? So I'm pleased about that. I don't think it necessarily guarantees he's going to be here longer than that. I know the contract is longer, but essentially guarantees of 13. That could, for the caliber of starter he is, that essentially could just be 1 year money. If that's the way it played out.
Was the 8 mil that's guaranteed? So yeah.
Well, it's 8 mil this year, but I think it's 13 overall. But I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. So I think it would cost like 5 if you cut him next year. So that could just be a bonus golden handshake. Goodbye. I hope he's here longer because I love the guy. I think he's brilliant. And it can offer some stability there for Drake May as he's developing. If you've got him for at least a couple of years, if you bring him in for, I don't know, 7 games this season, let's say, and then later on, next season, you're giving him a new centre. It's again another relationship, another, you're not going down the Matt Jones. It's not that bad of not helping him, but it's just another, I don't know, 1%er that you're not helping there really. So no, I'm pleased that he's staying around this season. That's
We're
part of the O-line.
We're going to have a 1% jar.
Yeah, might do. Well, the one thing I mentioned, I've tried to avoid, but I'm gonna have to bring it up now. When you said about how tough it is and the expectations for the season, there was one expert analyst that I spoke to early in the season who said if the Patriots draft a quarterback, they'll be second in the division, and I'm just wondering whether they're still holding themselves to that standard.
Who is this expert analyst? Yeah. This is very serious. This is very intense. Yeah. When are you speaking to expert analysts?
Yeah.
Huh? You did an offshoot show and not telling any of us.
Are you backtracking from that now already?
No.
Are you? Okay.
No, not at all. I'm challenging the expert analyst title that you're throwing at me. Unless you're mocking me, which, wouldn't that be a shock? Yeah, really. So, no, I'm not backtracking. I'm taking the Patriots at second.
What do you think? And maybe you haven't looked at this yet. What do you think is the likely ceiling of wins this season?
Now, I just need to preface by saying I'm not taking my second in the division back simply because I'm stubborn. I'm unsure how fully in I am on it, but I'm not going to take it back because I'm stubborn. I don't know, to be honest with you, because of the difference of different teams in the league. Like you said, you touched on how Washington are on a rebuild and stuff like that. Oh no, that was a practice game, but yeah,
that doesn't sadly count onto the final season standings.
It was somebody else, but yeah, I mean, the Texans have always been a team that you've kind of looked at and gone, they're probably a win. And now, like, completely, they have literally turned themselves around. So I know they did that last year, don't get me wrong. So you look at the list of opponents and it's just too early. We don't know what we've got at all. And we don't know what plenty of others have got, because I'm not sure if I'm convinced that Rodgers is going to suit up and boot up for the whole season anyway. I'm not wishing anybody an injury, by the way, folks. Please don't misinterpret that. But I think most of you know I don't like Aaron Rodgers anyway. It's too difficult. We don't even, like you said, we don't even know when Drake May will start, how good Jacoby Brissett will slot back in, if the O-line will be any good, if it will be strong. There's too many ifs, buts, candy and nuts, to be honest with you, right now. But I'm going to stand by my second in the division just because I am that stubborn.
Fair enough. I did a win-loss going through.
I don't know how you can do that.
Well, sorry. It's for discussion points. I picked out that I think there's 5 games they could win: Seahawks, Jags, Titans, Colts, Cardinals. Yeah. Now I appreciate I can be surprised, so that's why I'm saying the ceiling is probably a couple more than that.
Yeah.
But I think 5 is about what I'm thinking is the way it could go. Maybe 6. Yeah, it's a new coach. It's a new era. We don't know how Mayo is going to be able to keep the team pointing in the right direction. We don't know how Covington's going to do as a defensive coordinator. AVP, we have high hopes for, but this is his first season introducing a new offense. We have a backup quarterback starting, who's then going to be followed up by a rookie that we don't know how that's going to go. We pretty much are guaranteed we're not going to have a left tackle all season. We're gonna be trialing and pushing and already people are penciling in that's what we're going to spend our first draft pick on next year. That we know this is really going to look great, but I think there could be some bright spots along the way to give us some positivity. So I think they could win the preseason 2-1 if you want some real positivity. They could beat the Panthers, Commanders, but that means nothing, sadly.
I know. You could,
So,
yeah. Sorry,
it's fine. So, Drake May, did you have
Friday, folks?
Did you want to talk anything Drake May and how practice had gone?
Do you want the Drew Bledsoe AVP discussion?
Let's go for that.
Because there's not really much to talk about, is there? Because all you can really say is Drake May practiced. Are you really going to judge?
He wasn't phenomenal, but I don't care. I don't read anything into that. I don't think that means he's going to be bad. I don't think that means Joe Milton's better than him and Joe Milton's going to be the star. I don't see much into it. It would have been wonderful if he'd come and lit it up. But again, that wouldn't make me think, oh, brilliant, that means he's going to start week 1. They put their pajamas on and they had a run around. Good for them.
I have a question for you. If you lot haven't listened to the latest episode of A Clare Perspective, I was very lucky to have Alex Barth on last week to pick his amazing genius brain. And towards the end of the show, we did have some fun in regards to the quarterbacks and what food item they would be. So I want to ask you, Chudders.
Oh, my word.
Are you more of a burger or a pizza guy? Because that kind of makes the comparison a little bit more interesting. Or more personal to you.
I'll probably say I'm a pizza guy. I did at the weekend have a chicken tikka masala pizza that's blown me away. That was amazing.
Okay, go on, tell me about this off there. Because now I'm interested. Right. So if Drake May and Joe Milton were pizzas, Alex did burgers, what would they be?
I would guess then that Milton would be some sort of hot and spicy volcano type thing. Very explosive, going to blow you off, but it doesn't really have anything else other than heat on it.
Interesting.
Drake May, I would say, is maybe more of a meat feast because it's got some spice on there. It's got some spicy beef, bit of pepperoni, but it's also got some ham and sausage on there as well. That's all the meat and potatoes that you need in the rest of the game. I don't know. I like the way that you're completely throwing me under the bus with this question and no prep. So there we are. That's what you've got. I'm not as good at Fitzy at freeloading, and singing you a song and coming up with all these amazing magical food items. That's the best I can go with. I don't want to go with anything bland because I think he's got all the weapons there. But
it's not about throwing you under the bus. Don't be silly. It's just fun. It's a good laugh. I mean, Alex didn't know. I threw the burger one at Alex. He didn't know, and that was hilarious. So
just throw that down my throat. See how I get on.
Charming. Like, that is it. I'd add some vegetables on because he's quite wholesome as well.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's hilarious. So we did quarterbacks as pizzas. We did the schedule. We did Andrew's contract. Oh, I know. What are your feelings on the scuttlebutt with Wolf being named vice president and not GM? So Kraft would still have a lot involved, like his fingers in the pie. How did you feel about that?
It didn't surprise me one bit. And it doesn't bother me at all. I assume Elliot Wolf's happy with the job he's doing day to day.
Yeah.
How it's gone these past few months.
Were you relieved when it was Wolf? Sorry to interrupt. Were you relieved when it was Wolf?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really think there was a serious question mark after the draft that they were genuinely going out to interview other people because they didn't like the job Wolf had done and they needed to go and look at other candidates. I think it was just doing due diligence as you kind of have to do in these situations. I'm pleased. I hope it's a partnership that works. He's the one that ultimately has built this team over this off season, so he can be accountable for it. That's not to completely shake Jared Mayo from any accountability for the roster that's built, because I'd like to think that they are a partnership and they have a hand in it. There may be some discussions, some small disagreements over certain elements where one person wants to go in one direction, one in the other, but I'm hoping it's a genuine collaboration that they keep saying about, and they're both happy with the way this team has been constructed.
On that bombshell, folks, we will wrap up
I get one last thing then. Did you have timing? Didn't you have something about Bledsoe you wanted to?
Yeah, but the quote is really long, and looking at the timing and the meeting and stuff like this, we'd end up running over again.
Throw it out. Go on.
Okay.
I don't know what this is. I've not seen this. This is my first time exposure to this.
For the record, I have however many viewers that we have. Bless you, we love you. As witness, I didn't hear what did you say?
I said I'm saying hello to both the viewers.
Oh, as witnesses that he told me to carry on. Right, okay. Drew Bledsoe was on the Up and Kay Adams show, and they were talking about AVP, which was interesting because obviously as Patriots fans, he's new to us as such. I know he's been in the league, not really been a play caller and stuff like that. I know that's concerned people. So, quote, Bledsoe, verbatim, apologies, going to have to read this because it's too long to know. It's always a dilemma, right? Because when you're drafted that high, by definition, you're going to a team that's not very good. I preferred to play and learn by being under fire. I think you can make a case for either decision. And I think it's really going to come down to how he looks. Obviously, this is about Drake May, apologies, in training camp. And if he looks like he's ready to go. And I don't know Drake, but then it comes down to what's his mental makeup. Can he weather the storm of getting knocked around and not having success early without shaking his confidence? Or is it going to be better for him to sit and watch for a little bit? One thing that he has that's very, very significant going for him is Alex Van Pelt. So, Alex, we were together in Buffalo for a few years, and no disrespect to Zoe, Alex, from a backup standpoint, he was one that had the best football mind. He also has just this incredibly calm demeanour. He played quarterback in the league for a decade, and he's 6 foot and chubby. So obviously he had to win with his brain. So I really think that Alex is one of those special quarterback whisperer kind of dudes that's going to help him. I think that they'll take all factors into account. What's our best chance to win right now, but also what's for this kid's long-term future, as you said, and in turn the future of the franchise. So yeah, apologies, I meant to kind of key that up, but is that what he was when he was talking about Drake May starting this season or not? And I think I found that really interesting. If any of you guys didn't see that, there's a whole interview with Bledsoe recently with Kay Adams. So yeah, you said you wanted me to read you that on air so you could have your initial unscripted reaction, because yeah, we script this show, don't we? I found that good, kind of comforting, interesting. Also, oh sweet, bless him. Yeah, poor AVP.
No, I like that. That's good. That support. I'd even extend it that Van Pelt has been wise enough that he's obviously backing himself to be in this position to be mentoring a new quarterback, but he's also wise enough to bring in Ben McAdoo, who likewise is, some form of QB whisperer, and to acknowledge that whilst Van Pelt can do some of that mentoring, he's going to be looking at the whole offense, and he can't necessarily spotlight all his time on Drake May or whoever the quarterback was going to be. So he's brought in someone else who can do that similar sort of job, and that's the credentials that McAdoo has. So that's good. That's good to hear glowing things about the situation. It again highlights development. This season is about development. This is not about winning every play, winning every drive, winning every game, winning the season. It's about development. This is a team that's now in full rebuild, not the rebuild we saw under Jones and Cam Newton, where it's not really a rebuild. You're just trying to continue the strong position we're in. This is a rebuild.
It felt like they were sticking a band-aid on it, weren't they? When they were trying with Matt Patricia and Matt Jones kind of on when he was on his downward spiral, rather than them being able to support him to possibly help him a bit more successful. It just got worse, and it was like constantly sticking one band-aid over another, whereas like you said, it's been torn off, the wound's been cleaned, and let's get working on it, sort of thing. So interesting. But yeah, I found that really interesting, which is kind of why I mentioned to you that I was kind of wanted to talk about it. Found it really, and yes, very positive, helped give me an extra sort of look at it as I've got extra confidence in what we've got going on behind the scenes when it comes to offense. So yeah,
the last thing I say, then you can wrap up and say goodbye to our viewers.
Thank you so much.
As I haven't had the chance to speak on it, I know you did with Bath and last week. I thought the roast of Tom Brady was brilliant. It was very funny. It was very good. from the shots he was taking, from the shots he was giving. There's quite a bit of repetition in some of the themes of the joke, but they managed to do it all in a different way. As has been mentioned a few ways, it felt cathartic to me. It felt the yang, if you like. If the 10-part documentary was the yin, this felt the yang of this is the fun, lighter side. There's still maybe some cores that run through that of relationships that are a little frayed, but this was the fun, lighter side. This felt more the real positive spin of that dynasty that's existed. All the characters that were a part of it, I really loved it.
I think it's interesting that like the whole dynasty thing was out there. So they've had the Netflix documentary. Now they've had the roast of Tom Brady. There's obviously the talk of the Patriots because they took a quarterback at 3, that kind of thing. There's so much out there at the moment at Patriots that Cowboys, Jerry Jones, there's a Netflix documentary coming about him or something. And I just thought it was really funny. I know it could have possibly been in the works for a long time, but it just looked to me like they're talking about the Patriots so much. I don't like it. Now we need to put me on. And I found that really amusing. That's nothing against him or anything like that. I'm not trying to throw shade, but I just found it amusing that the Patriots have been talked about so much lately that all of a sudden it's like he's like, oh no, but I want the spotlight on me a bit more because I thought it funny, but I'm just a horrible person. So anyway, there you go. So on that note, folks, we shall wrap up. With it being the off season, yes, we are coming to you less frequently than when it is obviously game time, where we try and come to you every single week. Please keep your eyes on the socials, as it will be sort of infrequent. It won't be on a regular day or time due to work and personal family schedules. So yeah, keep your eyes on Twitter /X, folks, and you'll see when they're. Or you could obviously subscribe to the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel and you will get notified straight away when we upload our videos for your perusal. So from him, Chudders, from myself, Claire Clazzy there, this has been Pat's Propaganda. Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Apologies. So anyway, tune in next time, folks, whenever it may be. It will be soon rather than later. And as always, go Pats.
LFG.